So today we're talking about how do we be unstoppable and how do we take everything and hijack our mind right here, right now. What does it mean to hijack your mind? One of my favorite quotes is that success isn't a result of spontaneous combustion. You must set yourself on fire. And that's by Arnold Glassell. And to really take a look at how do we do that? How do we set ourselves on fire right here, right now? What does it look like for me to be the one who starts to take on action? For me, intentional leadership, there's three types of leadership that are important at this point. One of them is auto leadership. We don't have the opportunity to look at what's going on in our life, right? There's so many things going on for all of us. Like this is the first time in our history that the playing field, everybody's playing the same game, right? We're all trying to take care of ourselves, trying to take care of our families and so forth. The most important thing that there aren't many people that are here to lead us. We must learn to lead ourselves. The second part of it is to ensure that we are much more intentional in what we're doing. What does intentional leadership look like from our perspective? And just write those questions down. Those are great questions. How am I leading myself here and now today? What does that look like? The next one up is to take a look at that intentional part of it. Where do I want to go? What is my roadmap? Where is it that I'm going? Because if we don't have a map, any road is going to take us there. There's Harvard reviews as well, studies that show that 3% of people have goals. 13% of individuals have them and they're not written. And then the rest of the population doesn't necessarily have goals. What does it look like for an individual that knows exactly where they're going every step of the way? And then the last part of that leadership is to ensure that we understand the part of understanding ourselves. How do I build more self awareness? Maybe sometimes we're listening to ourselves or people give us comments and feedback. How does this help me? Like, get really, really curious. That's one of the things I love hearing when people come to me and like, Rocio, and I hear a comment once, okay, great. When I hear it two or three times, I get very curious. Why are people saying what they're saying, how they're saying it, where they're saying it? And how does that help me here now? And I love feedback. Like, become a master of feedback. That's the third one right there, to ensure that we become masters of feedback. How am I gaining feedback and how am I using that feedback to ensure that I continue to grow? And feedback not being good or bad, right or wrong, or any of that nature. It's just feedback, it's information. And if that's not where we're going, let's go find another way. Some of the most important ways that I've found, an important way that I found to stay tuned to what's important to me is like, what is my why? For instance, my why when I was starting off my career was my son. It was a long shot. Mother at 15. How was I going to make it? How was I going to take the care of this child? My why was my son. When we know what our why is, then the how we get there doesn't really matter. Know that here's a path and we may take a U-turn. We may, it's like that GPS of life. How many of us have gone and had that GPS and maybe we've turned around and given up or burned out or whatever that may be? But when we know exactly where we're going, it helps us to continue to move forward in the direction of our dreams. Know your why. Disrupt your patterns. We're like robots. And I can guarantee each and every one of us gets up in the morning the same way. We get up, whether we get up and have our routine, drink our cup of coffee, some of us like our Captain Crunch, whatever that is. We have routines and we get into patterns, and those patterns keep us super comfortable. The most important thing to understand is how do we change everything? If we comb our hair with the right hand, we comb it with the left one. That's a way that we can start doing simple things at home, and then it start doing simple things at work, right? To find a different way. If I'm walking down a different path, or if I typically address individuals in a different way, how do I do things differently throughout time so it doesn't sound all the same? Right? So that I start to build a new neural pathway, start getting curious about things, start getting curious about conversations that you normally wouldn't engage in. To me, that's phenomenal. I'm not somebody who grew up sewing, yet I took up sewing. And it's giving me such amazing creativity that I learned how to do that all on my own, trying on pieces of fabric and getting very curious on how to do things, being in environments that I wasn't normally in, going to conferences in energy. I have nothing to do with renewable, sustainable energy. Yet I'm hanging out with individuals talking about renewable, sustainable energy. And it just continues to expand and expand our mind and to take a look at yourself. What is it that you're doing right here, right now? What can you do? What are you doing now? The hardest thing that any of us has to do in our life is to reflect. How do we take a moment to reflect and to review? Take a look at our life. Where have I been? Where am I at now? And where am I going? Those are three very key important questions. When I know where I'm going, everything becomes easier. And is it where I am right now? Is it actually going to take me? Because sometimes the person who we will become is not the person that we are right now. So we're always in the process of becoming. Understanding that you've always got this. That's so important. What we say to ourselves, and these are a lot of tips right here on how to hijack your mind. What we say to ourselves, it's really going to make or break us. And to give you a great example, Emilio, my 5-year-old grandson, when he was 4, he couldn't catch a ball and he kept on trying and he would cry and he would put his arms out and he couldn't get it. And then all of a sudden, he learned how to catch, but he was catching this way. He wasn't going to be very successful at catching the ball. The next weekend when I went over, Emilio's still crying. He's frustrated because he can't catch the ball. And I said, I wonder what's going on with Emilio. He was 4 at the time. What's going on with him? Is it what he's saying to himself? I can't catch the ball. And that's what I kept on hearing was, I can't catch the ball. And I said, great. Emilio, I got this. Repeat after me. I've got this. And so Emilio's right there chanting with him, like, Emilio, I've got this. And he's like, I've got this. I've got this. I've got this. And we're going back and forth. And I throw the ball and Emilio catches it. And he flies across the room and he's like, I caught it. I caught it. And at that time, I was videotaping him on my phone because I was watching his reaction and him responding to what was going on. And that's one of the greatest things that I've seen in what conversations are we having with us here now? That's a way to hijack your mind, to find a mantra, to find something that helps you. I've got this. I'm simply the best at this. Whatever it is for you, and you know in this moment what that is. I'd recommend for you just to write it down. What is it for you? And I've seen some people in the chat saying, well said, right? Because it's the internal conversation. I can guarantee you in 3 minutes, and we've done this in conferences in front of large audiences in 3 minutes, a person coming in completely depressed to a peak state of mind and saying, I got this. Like they are walking and they are on fire. There's times where I'm working with individuals and I discover what's going on with them. I have them do their own mantra and literally walking in completely defeated to walking out like Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman, just knowing based on what they're telling themselves, body erect, even taking a look in the mirror. You can have a mirror on top of your desk right now in the time of COVID. These are great tips right there. Write that down. Have a mirror right there. It is what we're telling ourselves over and over again, especially when we're going into meetings that we're not feeling as powerful or as confident. And to also look, here's another tip to take a look at there are things that are overwhelming us. What does that look like? I recently posted a video on my LinkedIn where there's this little guy and he's in a swimming pool. He's got this big old rope that he's hanging on to and he's crying for help, like, come help me, save me. And mom comes over and stands him up. And the rope was at his waist. He was drowning in the water, hanging on to dear life when he can just simply stand. Let's take a look at that, right? What is it? Is it something that's happening? Is it something that I'm perceiving? Is it something in real time? What is actually happening here now? One of the most extraordinary things about humans, about ourselves, and about our subconscious mind, that we bring all of the experiences with us. And sometimes when we're not present, we're like that little kid hanging on to that big old rope. And all we had to do is stand up, right? When we're present, we know what's going on. Is that really happening? To really be present of the conversation that is happening and the conversation that is not happening. What's here, what's not here. Learning to bridge the gaps is another thing on how to hijack your mind. How do I bridge my own gaps? And you know what gaps, right? We all have gaps. I have gaps as a speaker. I have gaps as a trainer. I have gaps as a human being. And I walk away from every situation knowing, let me listen to the feedback. What did I learn? out of the situation? What's there for me here now? How can I improve on who I'm being and what I'm doing at this given point in time? And what does it look like to go from here to here? And one of the greatest sayings I've heard is an individual said, go as far as you can go, stop, take a look, and then go further. Then go as far as you can go, and then go further. I think a lot of us want to have like this amazing roadmap. And when we're looking at even planning, business planning, strategic planning, any type of planning in business, a lot of us got caught by surprise with COVID. Would you agree? Like a lot of us got caught by surprise because we didn't know. We had this 10-year plan. Some people had 20-year plans of like, what is it going to look like? But how do I work with here now? And how do I be flexible in my approach to know that things can continually change? What are some of those changes that are coming along our way that we can go ahead and change, right? Things that we can go ahead and transform. What are the things that are important for me to learn right here, right now? What's important for me to learn right here, right now? And then taking a look at get a mentor. It's always great to get a mentor, connect with somebody who's been down that road, be a mentor. I think one of the most rewarding experiences of our life is being a mentor because it also boosts our confidence. It boosts our courage. Even the way that we're doing things, we become even more courageous when we're doing it for another, when we're guiding this other amazing individual on their own journey. We want them to be successful and we will do anything for them to be successful. And in the long run, we're the ones who are actually benefiting, if not more than that individual. So get a mentor, be a mentor, and get a number of mentors. For me, I have a number of mentors in business. I have a number of mentors in coaching, even people that coach me. I have a number of individuals in my life, strategic planning, marketing, so forth, knowing here's where I'm going and how do I get there? How do I bridge my gap from here to here? And to know that it's okay. Progress is the best thing. It's progress over perfection. We're always thinking, I've got to be perfect. No, write that down. Progress over perfection, because perfection never made it to the plate. We're always thinking that we are, it doesn't make it to the plate. And to be resourceful. How do I be resourceful? Leverage the kitchen sink. That's how we be resourceful. What do I have that somebody else can benefit from? What do I have? And you know exactly what it is right now. What do you have in your environment? How can you contribute? Maybe you you can't make it to that particular company just yet, but what do you have right here, right now? Give you a great example. When I was early on in my career, I couldn't afford to make so many contributions and investments in myself. One of the things that I did was I found other organizations that I could work part time, or I would leverage the work. And hey, they have this amazing conference. It's costing $2,000 or $2,500 to make it there. How about I volunteer? Leverage the kitchen sink, because there's always something that we can do. Maybe we can leverage, maybe I can go to Angelica and say, hey, maybe I need this from Oscar, but I can leverage your talent to get to him, to get to what I really need and desire. And this is what I can contribute. Always being understanding that givers always gain. And people are always willing to help people that are willing to help themselves. And even marketing on LinkedIn, I know that Oscar is the most amazing, extraordinary individual guru on LinkedIn, and he will share all his tips on that and what that looks like in a moment. But really to take a look at that, how do you leverage things, everything that you have, and start to build those relationships? Right now, in this point in time, there hasn't been a more important time in our history than to be able to leverage everything that we have on there. So beautiful. And now taking a look at the final thing that I'm going to share right here in this moment, and then I'm going to turn it on to Oscar in a moment, is we are our greatest investment all the time. We are our greatest investment because we take ourselves with us. Everything that we learn, everything that we do, it doesn't matter. I remember being in university. I remember 15 knocking on university doors. Now 17, I'm in university and I have no clue what people were talking about. And I remember people telling me like, Rocio, and I was going to school with people that were old enough to be my parents. Some people had a second degree. They were just amazing individuals. Some people tell me, Rocio, I don't know, my job is paying for this. And I'm thinking, I'm paying for this. I'm going to learn anything and everything because what I learn, I get to take with me everywhere I go. So take a look at what is it here now for you? How are you investing in yourself, right? What does it look like to be able to lead yourself? And remember, I'm just going to recap real quick. What is your why? What is your why are you doing this? When times get difficult, understand, put a picture, if it's your wife, your husband, your daughter, whoever that is, to have a picture in mind. Who is that person? For me, I carry it on my screen. It's my screensaver. It's my family. It's my son, my daughter in law, my grandson, to know that that's who I'm doing it for. I'm constantly disrupting my patterns every day. If I eat with my right hand, I'm eating with my left hand. Right. I'm combing my hair. I'm looking, if I'm not as outgoing on LinkedIn, I'm going to jump in there with both feet. Making sure that we're having those conversations that are building us, that conversation of I got this. What is your mantra that you can get yourself to hijack your mind, continue moving forward, and then seeing remember what overthinking looks like. Take a moment and stop and say, am I overthinking? What's possible in this moment? Right? How else can I do this? What other solutions? Filling in our own gaps. What does that look like for us? What gaps do we have? And then getting a mentor and being a mentor, being one of the most fun things anyone can do. It's great to have conversations with people that get us. They get us and they're invested and they're like, maybe they even become a champion of what we're doing at a completely different level. And maybe even if they are within the organization that we're in, they can become that sponsor. Be resourceful and leverage the kitchen sink. And you are your greatest investment. Invest in you.